The galaxy had been a war-torn mess for centuries, with species clawing at each other for scraps of power. Amid the chaos, Earth stood out like a sore thumb, not for its warships, but for its gleaming medical vessels, crisscrossing battle zones to patch up the wounded. Commander Vexor, leader of the Cathar Alliance, stood on the bridge of his warship, the Night Fang, staring at the latest thorn in his side, the human hospital ship Hope's Beacon. It floated in the void, a massive white hull carrying 3,000 patients from dozens of species, its hull marked with a glowing green cross, a universal symbol of healing that Vexor saw as a slap in the face. "Look at them," he growled, his six-fingered hands clenched behind his back, mandibles twitching with disgust. A ship that size, packed with tech that could crush entire fleets, and they wasted stitching up the weak. His voice dripped with contempt, loud enough to fill the bridge. Tactical Officer Lila Jones shifted at her station, her copper-green skin catching the dim light. "Sir," she said, her tone cautious, "Hope's Beacon is treating survivors from the Varian conflict, kids, civilians, you name it. If we hit them, there's no going back." Vexor waved her off, his eyes locked on the screen. "That's exactly why humans will never rule this galaxy, Lila. Compassion chains them down." His words were sharp, cutting through the hum of the bridge. Senior Officer Ethan Core, a Cathar with 4 eyes blinking in rapid succession, a telltale sign of unease, spoke up from his console. "Commander, that ship's running at full capacity. They've turned their cargo holds into extra wards. But what do we gain from this? No resources, no territory, just a pile of bodies." "We gain power," Vexor snapped, slamming a fist on his command chair. "When the galaxy watches their precious symbol of mercy burn, they'll learn the weak don't belong here." His mandibles spread into a jagged grin, but Lila wasn't buying it. She stood, her hands trembling slightly. "What about the other ships out there? The Zorians, the Velith, they are watching us. They'll see everything." "Let them see," Vexor shot back, stepping closer to her. "Let them witness what happens when you forget strength rules this galaxy, not handouts." His voice dropped to a dangerous low, daring her to push back. Lila held her ground, her jaw tight. "This isn't strength, sir. It's pointless cruelty." The air between them crackled with tension. Vexor towered over her, his shadow swallowing her frame. "You dare question me? Sit down, or I'll replace you with someone who obeys." Ethan stayed quiet, his fingers hovering over his console. He didn't meet Vexor's gaze, but his 4 eyes flickered faster, a silent storm brewing. The rest of the bridge crew watched, frozen, as the standoff stretched on. Lila's defiance hung like a live wire, and Vexor's patience snapped. "Enough," he barked, turning back to the view screen. "That ship's a target of fat, slow prize begging to be cracked open. We hit it, and the humans learn their place." "Sir," Ethan cut in, his voice steady but strained, "long-range scans show Hope's Beacon has patients from 12 species on board. Some are allies. This could turn half the sector against us." Vexor rounded on him, his mandibles clicking furiously. "Allies? The Cathar don't need allies who coddle the helpless. We need fear. Respect. This is how we get it." Lila shook her head, her voice barely above a whisper. "Fear doesn't build an empire. It just makes enemies." Vexor ignored her, his decision already set in stone. He pointed at the screen, where Hope's Beacon loomed, oblivious to the threat. "Target their main medical bay," he ordered. "Wipe out their hope first. Make it quick, but make sure they feel it." The bridge went silent, the weight of his words sinking in. Lila's hands hovered over her controls, her face paling. "There are kids in there, sir. Zorian orphans, Velith refugees, innocents." Vexor's eyes narrowed, and he drew his ceremonial blade, its edge glinting under the bridge lights. "Do it, or I'll cut you down right here," he hissed, pressing the tip against her throat. Her breath hitched, but she didn't move. Ethan's fingers twitched, brushing a hidden switch on his console. He didn't say a word, but a faint signal pulsed out, a distress call, masked as routine chatter, sent to anyone close enough to listen. He kept his eyes on his screen, pretending to adjust readings, while Vexor's focus stayed on Lila. Last chance, Vexor warned, his blade drawing a thin line of blood on her neck. Fire, or die. You're insane, Lila spat, shoving his blade aside. She stumbled back, hands raised, refusing to touch the firing controls. Vexor snarled and swung the blade, but she dodged, crashing into a nearby station. The crew gasped, torn between loyalty and horror. Coward! Vexor roared, shoving her aside and slamming his own hand on the console. I'll do it myself. He keyed in the coordinates, locking onto the medical bay. This is power, he muttered, his voice a mix of triumph and rage. This is what the galaxy needs to see? The targeting system hummed, aligning the Night Fang's primary cannon. Ethan watched, his 4 eyes wide, knowing he'd crossed a line with that signal, but praying it would matter. Lila pulled herself up, wiping blood from her lip. You're not proving strength, she said, her voice raw. You're proving we're monsters. Vexor ignored her, his finger hovering over the fire command. Let the humans cry. Let their allies scream. They'll all learn soon enough. He pressed the button, and a brilliant purple beam lanced out from the Night Fang, streaking toward Hope's beacon. The bridge crew held their breath, some looking away, others staring in dread. Vexor stood tall, his mandibles spread wide, savoring the moment. This is how we win, he said, as the beam closed in on its target. This is how we rule. But deep down, a flicker of doubt gnawed at him, not from guilt, but from the nagging sense that he'd just kicked a hornet's nest he couldn't control. Lila slumped against the wall, whispering to herself, "You have no idea what you've done." Ethan's signal pulsed on, a quiet plea racing through the void, and the galaxy waited for the fallout. The purple beam from the Night Fang slammed into Hope's beacon's medical bay with a force that lit up the void. The white hull cracked open like a drop plate, spewing air and debris in a violent burst. Inside, over 500 patients, Zorian kids, Velith refugees, and others, died in an instant, their screams swallowed by the vacuum. On the Night Fang's bridge, the view screen flared with the impact, and Commander Vexor leaned forward, his mandibles twitching in satisfaction. Perfect, he muttered. Right where it hurts. Tactical Officer Lila Jones stared at the screen, her copper-green hands shaking on the console she'd refused to touch. You just killed kids, she said, her voice breaking. Kids who didn't even know what hit them. Vexor spun on her, his ceremonial blade still in hand, blood from her neck staining its edge. Shut up and get in line, he snapped. This is war. They are collateral. He pointed at the view screen, where escape pods began launching from the crippled ship, tiny white specks against the chaos. Target the engines, he ordered. No one gets out. Lila stepped back, her eyes wide with horror. I'm not doing it, she said, louder this time, her defiance ringing out. There's a pediatric ward in there, babies, Vexor. You're crossing a line no one comes back from. The bridge crew froze, caught between her words and their commander's glare. Vexor's mandibles clicked furiously as he closed the gap between them. You don't give orders here, he hissed, raising the blade. Fire the damn shot, or I'll gut you and do it myself. She didn't flinch this time. Then you'll have to kill me, she shot back, shoving his arm away. The blade swung, slicing the air, but she ducked and tackled him, sending them both crashing to the floor. The crew gasped, some reaching for weapons, others too stunned to move. Senior Officer Ethan Core stayed at his station, his 4 eyes darting between the fight and his console. His fingers tapped a hidden sequence, sending a second distress signal, this one louder, unmasked, screaming for help to every ship in range. He kept his face blank, but his heart pounded. He'd picked his side. Vexor kicked Lila off, scrambling to his feet. Traitor, he roared, lunging at her again. She rolled away, grabbing a metal rod from a busted panel to block his next swing. Sparks flew as blade met steel, and the bridge turned into a battlefield. "You're done," Lila grunted, parrying another blow. "This isn't strength, it's madness." Vexor laughed, a harsh, guttural sound. "Madness wins wars," he said, driving her back toward the wall. Through the open comms channel, voices from Hope's Beacon broke through, human doctors pleading for mercy. "This is Dr. Ryan Holt," a shaky voice crackled. "We're under attack. We've got 400 critical patients. Please, someone stop this." The message cut off in static, replaced by a Velith nurse's sobs. "2 infants. I can't get them to the pods. Help us." Vexor ignored it, slamming Lila against the bulkhead and wrenching the rod from her hands. "Pathetic," he snarled, tossing it aside. He turned to the weapons officer, a young Krthar named Jack. "Fire on the engines. Now." Jack hesitated, his claws trembling over the controls. "Sir, the comms, there's kids." Vexor grabbed him by the neck, lifting him off the chair. "Do it, or you're next," he growled, shoving him back down. Jack swallowed hard and punched in the coordinates. A second beam lanced out, striking Hope's Beacon's port engine. The massive ship lurched, its hull groaning as emergency lights flashed red along its side. Escape pods kept launching, but too few, too slow, doomed by the dozens. The galaxy didn't stay quiet. The Zorian ship Starwind blasted an urgent message across all frequencies: "Krthar vessel Night Fang, ceasefire now. You're hitting a medical ship, stand down or face us." The Velith cruiser Dawn Singer followed, its captain's voice icy. "This is an atrocity. All diplomatic ties with Krthar are severed, effective immediately." On the bridge, Lila pulled herself up, wiping blood from her face. "You hear that?" she said, panting. "You've turned us into monsters. They're done with us." Vexor smirked, brushing off her words. "Good. Let them cut ties. Fear's a better leash than friendship." He watched the screen as Hope's Beacon listed helplessly, its spine cracked, its crew fighting to save what little they could. Through the comms, Dr. Ryan Holt's voice returned, weaker now. "We're losing them, 300 critical patients. If anyone's out there, please." Static swallowed the rest, and Vexor muted the channel. "Whiny pests," he muttered. "They'll learn to shut up soon." Ethan's signal had reached its mark, though. Unknown to Vexor, the Starwind and Dawn Singer were already relaying footage of the attack to their fleets and beyond. The bridge crew shifted uneasily, their loyalty fraying. Jack stared at his hands, muttering, "I didn't sign up for this." Another officer, a scarred veteran named Tora, spoke up, her voice low. "Sir, we just painted a target on our backs. Every species out there's gonna want our heads." "Then let them come," Vexor barked, spinning to face her. "We're Krthar, we don't bow to threats. We make them." He pointed at the screen, where escape pods drifted like lost stars. "That ship's a lesson. Compassion's a disease, and we just cut it out." But Lila, leaning against the wall, shook her head. "No, you just infected us with something worse, everyone's hate." Her words hung heavy, and for a split second, Vexor's grin faltered. Ethan stayed silent, his signal still pulsing, a lifeline he prayed someone would grab. The Night Fang's crew was cracking, half ready to mutiny, half too scared to try. Vexor didn't care. He saw the burning wreck of Hope's Beacon and felt victory, not regret. "Next target," he said, turning to Jack. "Their core. Finish it." Jack's claws froze, and Lila lunged forward, shouting, "No." She tackled him again, desperate to stop the madness, but Vexor yanked her back by the hair. "You're done," he hissed, slamming her to the deck. "Anyone else want to test me?" The bridge went dead quiet, fear choking the air. Jack keyed the shot, and a third beam charged up, aimed at Hope's Beacon's heart. Vexor stood over Lila, blade raised, ready to end her defiance. But out there, in the void, Ethan's signal had landed, and the galaxy was about to hit back. The Night Fang's third beam was seconds from firing when the void around Hope's beacon lit up like a damn fireworks show. Dozens of spatial rips tore open, glowing blue and jagged, spitting out ships that didn't look like anything the Crathar had ever seen. The Eclipse Legion Earth's war fleet rolled in, all sharp angles and matte black hulls, bristling with weapons that hummed with quiet menace. They weren't the clunky age ships humans were known for, these were predators, and they'd just caught the scent of blood. Commander Vexor froze, his blade still pressed against Lila Jones's throat on the bridge floor. "What the hell is that?" he barked, eyes darting to the view screen. The Eclipse Legion fanned out, encircling the dying Hope's beacon like a pack of wolves. A voice cut through every comms channel, female, cold as ice, and human. "This is Admiral Nora Blake of Earth's Eclipse Legion. You made a mistake testing our kindness." The transmission ended, no threats, no ultimatums, just silence that hit harder than any warning. Lila smirked through the blood on her face, shoving Vexor's blade aside. "Told you," she rasped. "You kicked the wrong nest." Vexor stumbled back, his mandibles clicking in disbelief. "Humans," he scoffed, turning to Senior Officer Ethan Core. "They are bugs, newbies in space. How'd they pull this off? Hit them." He jabbed a finger at the weapons console, where Jack, the young officer, hesitated again. Before Jack could move, a low hum pulsed through the Night Fang, and every system, weapons, shields, engines went dead. Lights flickered, consoles blanked out, and the bridge plunged into chaos. "What's happening?" Vexor roared, slamming his fist on his chair. Ethan stood up, his four eyes steady for the first time all day. "That's a graviton pulse," he said, voice calm. "They've got tech you can't even dream of." He stepped forward, facing Vexor head on. "I sent a signal. I called them. I'm Earth's eyes on this ship." The words dropped like a bomb, and the crews sucked in a collective breath. Lila's jaw fell, and even Vexor blinked, caught off guard. "You!" Vexor snarled, lunging at Ethan with his blade. Ethan sidestepped, grabbing Vexor's arm and twisting it hard. The commander howled, dropping the weapon, and Ethan shoved him into the command chair. "Yeah, me," Ethan said, his Crathar accent slipping into something sharper human. "Been feeding Earth intel for months. You just gave them the excuse they needed." The bridge erupted. Tora, the scarred veteran, pulled her sidearm, aiming at Ethan. "Traitor," she yelled, but Lila tackled her, wrestling the gun free. "He's right," Lila shouted, pinning Tora down. "Look out there, those ships aren't playing." Through the view screen, the Eclipse Legion loomed, their hulls dark and sleek, weapon ports glowing faintly. They hadn't fired a shot, but their presence screamed power, raw, untouchable, and pissed off. Vexor clawed his way up, his mandibles trembling with rage. "You're dead, Ethan, all of you. Fire everything we've got." But Jack shook his head, hands off the controls. "Sir, we're offline. They've locked us down." Vexor shoved him aside, hammering the console himself, but nothing responded. "Impossible," he muttered, his voice cracking. "They are primitives, hospital builders, not warriors." Admiral Nora Blake's voice returned, cutting through the static. "You thought we were weak because we heal. Watch us prove you wrong." The Eclipse Legion shifted, forming a tight ring around the Night Fang. One ship, a sleek dagger of a vessel, broke off, drifting toward Hope's beacon's wreckage. Its hull shimmered, and a faint ripple shot out, snagging escape pods mid-flight and pulling them into its base. Rescue, not attack, but the message was clear: they could do whatever they damn well pleased. Ethan faced Vexor, unflinching. "They've been hiding this fleet, building it while you laughed at their mercy ships. You attacked Hope's beacon thinking it'd scare the galaxy. All you did was wake them up." Vexor's mandibles clicked faster, a mix of fury and fear. "You sold us out," he hissed. "For what?" "Humans." "For a chance," Ethan shot back. A chance to stop assholes like you from burning everything down. He nodded at the screen. They are not here to negotiate. They are here to end this. Lila, still holding Tora down, looked up. He's right, Vexor. You've screwed us all. Outside, the Zorian ship Starwind and Velith cruiser Dawn Singer broke formation, their engines flaring as they bolted from the sector. A Zorian captain's voice crackled over the comms, Krathar, you're on your own. Earth's got this. The Velith followed, their message short and brutal, you're done. Good luck. Vexor stared at the retreating ships, his empire unraveling in real time. Cowards, he spat, but his bravado was hollow. The Night Fang's crew split down the middle. Half-loyalists like Tora glared at Ethan, ready to fight. The other half-Jack and a few others backed away, hands up, done with Vexor's madness. Lila stood, wiping blood from her lip, and grabbed the comms unit. This is Officer Jones, she broadcast to the ship. Stand down. We can't win this. Tora lunged at her, but Ethan intercepted, slamming her into a console. Enough, he yelled. It's over. Vexor laughed a jagged, desperate sound. Over? I'll ram this ship into their precious fleet myself. He dove for the helm, but Ethan tackled him, pinning him to the deck. You're not killing us all, Ethan growled, his human accent fully out now. Vexor thrashed, spitting curses, but he was trapped. Through the view screen, the Eclipse Legion tightened its grip, their ships glowing with a faint, eerie light. Nora Blake's voice came back, steady and final. Commander Vexor, your move's up. Ours is next. The comms cut, and a low rumble shook the Night Fang as the human ships powered up something big. Lila looked at Ethan, breathing hard. What now? She asked. Ethan didn't take his eyes off Vexor. Now they show us what humans really are, he said. And it's not mercy? The bridge fell silent, every eye on the Black Fleet outside, waiting for the hammer to drop. Vexor stopped struggling, his mandibles still, finally sensing the trap he'd walked into. He'd wanted to teach the galaxy a lesson. Instead, he'd handed Earth the chalk. The Eclipse Legion didn't waste time. As the Night Fang hung dead in space, Earth's black ships moved like surgeons prepping for a cut. A faint shimmer rippled from their hulls, and then it hit waves of invisible force slicing through the void. On the Night Fang's view screen, Commander Vexor watched in stunned silence as Krathar military bases on 10 planets blinked out of existence. No explosions, no fire, just gone. Factories, warships, defense grids wiped clean, leaving civilian towns untouched. The humans weren't fighting a war, they were performing surgery. What the hell are they doing? Vexor muttered, still pinned to the deck by Ethan Core. His mandibles twitched, but his bravado was crumbling. Ethan tightened his grip, his human accent thick now. It's a gravity blade, he said. They don't kill sloppy like you. They carve out the rot and leave the rest. He nodded at the screen, where a Krathar shipyard vanished mid-orbit, its crew beamed safely to the surface, unconscious but alive. Lila Jones stood by the comms unit, blood drying on her face, her voice steady as she broadcast to the ship. This is Officer Jones. Lay down your weapons. We're done. Tora, the scarred veteran, yanked free from the console Ethan had slammed her into, her sidearm back in hand. You don't speak for us, she yelled, aiming at Lila. Before she could fire, Lila dove, tackling her again. The gun skittered across the floor, and the two women grappled, fists flying. Wake up. Lila grunted, pinning Tora's arms. They are dismantling us, and we can't stop it. Vexor thrashed under Ethan, his six-fingered hands clawing at the deck. Get off me, you human rat, he roared. Ethan slammed his head down, cracking a mandible. Shut up, he snapped. You brought this on us. Through the view screen, the Eclipse Legion kept working methodical, relentless. A Krathar battleship dissolved mid-flight, its wreckage replaced by a perfect void. Civilian buildings stood yards away, unscathed. Jack, the young weapons officer, stared at his blank console, muttering, "They are not even breaking a sweat." Admiral Nora Blake's voice cut through the comms again, calm and sharp. "This isn't destruction for fun, Vexor. This is us fixing what you broke." The Night Fang shuddered as a faint hum grew louder, a web of light linking the human ships, spreading across SciFi Space. "That's a containment grid," Ethan said, glancing at Lila. "They are locking us in. No running, no fighting, just judgment." Vexor laughed, a ragged, desperate sound. "Judgment? From hospital monkeys? I'll ram this ship right through their little net." He kicked Ethan off, scrambling for the helm. Ethan lunged, but Vexor swung a wild fist, catching him in the jaw. The two men grappled, crashing into the command chair. "You're finished," Vexor snarled, wrapping a hand around Ethan's throat. "I'll kill you first, then them." Lila broke free from Tora, grabbing the fallen sidearm. She aimed it at Vexor, her hand steady despite the blood dripping from her lip. "Let him go," she said, voice like steel. Vexor froze, his mandibles clicking. "You wouldn't," he hissed. "You're Krathar loyal to me?" Lila cocked the gun. "Not anymore. You're a dead end." She fired a warning shot, grazing his arm. Vexor yelped, releasing Ethan, who rolled away, gasping. The crew split fast. Jack and a handful of others raised their hands, stepping back. "We're out," Jack said, voice shaking. Tora and the Loyalists drew blades, ready to fight, but the numbers weren't on their side. Lila kept the gun on Vexor. "Order them to stand down," she said. "Or the next shot's not a miss." Vexor glared, blood oozing from his arm, but the fire in his eyes dimmed. He spat on the deck. "Do it," he growled to Tora. "Drop your weapons." Tora hesitated, then tossed her blade down, cursing under her breath. The Loyalists followed, their fight snuffed out. Outside, the Eclipse Legion tightened its grip. The containment grid glowed brighter, a cage snapping shut around SciFi Space. Nora Blake's voice returned. "Your military's gone, Vexor. Bases, ships, weapons erased. We spared your people. You're welcome." Ethan pulled himself up, wiping blood from his mouth. "They've been planning this," he said to Lila. "Every move you made, I reported. They knew you'd hit Hope's beacon. They wanted you to." Vexor's mandibles stopped moving, his 6 fingers curling into fists. "You set me up," he whispered, the realization hitting like a brick. "You and your damn humans." "They didn't need me to," Ethan replied. "You're predictable. Arrogant. You handed them the trigger." He turned to the screen, where the human ships hung like shadows, their power quiet but crushing. A smaller vessel broke off, beaming survivors from Hope's beacon's pods aboard doctors, kids, nurses. Proof Earth hadn't forgotten mercy, even now. Lila lowered her gun, but kept it ready. "What's next?" she asked Ethan. He didn't look at her, his eyes on the fleet. "They'll finish it," he said. "Not with blood, with precision." The comms crackled again, this time with a flood of signals from Krathar worlds. Panic voices filled the bridge, human ships over Calthar Prime, thousands of them. "They are above the capital, our defenses are just gone. They are showing vids of Hope's beacon, the kids we killed." Vexor sank into his chair, his fight drained. "How?" he muttered. "How'd they hide this?" Ethan leaned in, voice low. "They didn't hide it. They built it right under your nose, disguised as mining rigs, trade hubs, mercy ships. You were too busy sneering to notice." The Night Fang rocked as the containment grid locked fully into place, cutting off all FTL drives. They were trapped, a fly in Earth's web. Nora Blake's final message came through, short and brutal. "You've got 10 minutes to beg, Vexor. We don't forgive. We fix." The comms went dead, and the Eclipse Legion powered up, their hulls glowing with something new, something terrifying. Lila looked at Ethan. They are not stopping, are they? Ethan shook his head. Not until it's done. Vexor stared at the screen, his empire gutted, his crew broken. I won, he whispered, a lie to himself. But the galaxy knew better. Earth wasn't playing anymore and the bill was due. The Night Fang's bridge was a graveyard of hope, its crews silent as the Eclipse Legion's containment grid pulsed brighter outside. The human ships black, angular, and merciless hovered over every Krathar world, their glowing hulls a promise of something final. Admiral Nora Blake's voice broke the stillness, steady and cold through the comms. 10 minutes, Vexor. That's how long you've got to plead. But we don't forgive. We repair. The line went dead, and a countdown started, 10 minutes ticking down on every screen, a death knell for the Krathar Alliance. Commander Vexor slumped in his chair, blood trickling from his grazed arm, his mandibles still. Plead, he muttered, then laughed a harsh, broken sound. I'd rather die than beg humans. He lunged for the helm again, desperate to ram the Night Fang into the fleet, but Ethan Core grabbed him, slamming him back down. You're not taking us with you, Ethan growled, pinning Vexor's arms. This ends now. Lila Jones stood nearby, the sidearm still in her hand, her eyes locked on the view screen. The Eclipse Legion wasn't firing randomly, they were finishing the job. Across Krathar space, military targets vanished with surgical precision. Orbital cannons, training camps, ammo depots all gone, erased by the gravity blades, leaving cities and civilians untouched. A Krathar governor's voice crackled over the comms, panicked, they are over Vexus. Our fleet's just disappearing. They are showing us Hope's beacon, the kids, the blood, it's everywhere. They are not stopping, Lila said, her voice low. She turned to Ethan. What's the endgame here? Ethan didn't flinch, his human accent sharp. They strip you bare, everything military, everything you'd use to fight back. Then they decide what's left. He nodded at Vexor. And he's the cherry on top. Vexor spat on the deck, his 6-fingered hands clenching. You think I'm scared? Kill me. Blow this ship to hell, I don't care. But his bravado rang hollow, drowned by the hum of the human fleet powering up something bigger. The containment grid tightened, a shimmering cage locking every Krathar ship in place. No FTL, no escape, just a front row seat to the reckoning. Nora Blake's voice returned, cutting through the tension. 5 minutes. Your worlds are disarmed. Your fleets are dust. Now we deal with you, Vexor. The view screen flared, showing a live feed from Hope's Beacon's ruins, doctors shielding patients with their bodies, a Velith nurse cradling dead infants, Dr. Ryan Holt's last words, please, save them. The crew flinched, even Tora, the loyalist, looking away. Lila's grip on the gun tightened. That's what you did, she said to Vexor. That's your legacy? Shut up. Vexor roared, thrashing against Ethan. They are weak, crying over corpses. I'd do it again. But his words faltered as the countdown hit 3 minutes. A ripple spread from the Eclipse Legion, and a single ship, a sleek, dagger-shaped craft, broke formation, drifting toward the Night Fang. Its hull shimmered, and a beam of light locked onto the bridge, freezing everyone in place. What's that? Jack, the weapons officer, whispered, his claws trembling. Quantum lock, Ethan said, releasing Vexor and stepping back. They are coming for him. Vexor scrambled to his feet, his mandibles clicking wildly. No. I'm not going anywhere. He swung at Ethan, but the beam tightened, yanking him off the deck like a puppet. He hung there, midair, snarling and helpless. Nora Blake's voice came back, final this time. Time's up, Vexor. You're ours. A flash of light enveloped him, and he vanished, teleported off the Night Fang. The crew stared, jaws slack, as the view screen shifted to a new feed, Vexor, now trapped in a sterile white chamber aboard a human ship. Restraints pinned his arms and legs, and a crystalline device hovered over him, pulsing with faint light. Welcome to your fix, Nora said through the feed. You'll live every second of pain you caused, every scream from Hope's beacon, every death. 100 years, looped in your head. Not punishment treatment. Vexor thrashed against the restraints, screaming, kill me. You cowards, kill me. But the device activated, and his eyes widened, his body going rigid as the first wave hit pain, raw and unrelenting, pulled from the memories of 500 dead. The feed cut off, leaving the bridge in silence. Lila lowered her gun, her shoulders slumping. Jesus, she muttered, the human curse slipping out from Ethan's influence. Ethan turned to her, wiping sweat from his brow. That's their justice, he said. They don't kill if they can break you instead. Outside, the Eclipse Legion finished its work. The containment grid locked fully, a permanent seal around SciFi Space. A final message scrolled across every screen, your war is over. Your choice is next. The human ships pulled back, hovering just outside the grid, a silent threat. Lila faced the crew, her voice firm despite the exhaustion. I'm taking command, she said. Anyone got a problem with that? Step up now. Tora glared but stayed quiet, her fight gone. Jack nodded, and the others followed, scared, beaten, but alive. What do we do? Jack asked, his voice small. Lila glanced at Ethan. We survive, she said. We figure out how to live with this. Ethan crossed his arms, watching the fleet. They'll watch us, he said. Every move. One wrong step, and they're back. The Night Fang systems flickered back online, but the weapons stayed Dark Earth's doing, a leash they'd never shake. Lila sat in the command chair, the weight of it sinking in. We're not SciFi anymore, she said, half to herself. Not like he wanted. Through the comms, a flood of surrender signals poured in from SciFi worlds, governors begging Earth for terms. The Eclipse Legion didn't respond, just watched, their black hulls a shadow over the galaxy. Lila looked at Ethan. You knew they'd do this, she said. He nodded. I knew they could. Didn't know they'd go this far. The countdown hit 0, and the silence was deafening. Vexor was gone, broken, not dead, a living lesson. The Night Fang drifted, a relic of a dead empire, its crew left to pick up the pieces. Earth had won not with blood, but with a scalpel, and the galaxy would never forget it. 10 years later, SciFi wasn't an empire anymore, just a patchwork of medical colonies under Earth's thumb. The beacon's grace, a gleaming hospital station, spun quietly where Hope's beacon once burned, its green cross a symbol of peace and a warning. Lila Jones stood on its command deck, now the appointed overseer of SciFi's remnants. Her copper-green skin bore new scars, her eyes harder than they'd been on the Night Fang. She'd traded her uniform for a white coat, managing aid ships that crisscrossed the sector, all stamped with Earth's tech and rules. The galaxy had changed. Earth's Eclipse Legion pulled back after that day, leaving quantum shields on every medical vessel, free gifts no one dared refuse. Attacks on hospital ships stopped cold, no species wanted Earth's surgery again. Lila played her part, training SciFi crews to heal instead of fight, but beneath the calm, something simmered. She watched a new aid ship launch, her jaw tight. They think they've tamed us, she muttered to herself. They're wrong. In a hidden lab deep inside Beacon's grace, a figure stirred. Commander Vexor, or what was left of him, opened his eyes, his six-fingered hands now sleek metal, his mandibles replaced by a synthetic jaw. Earth's treatment was supposed to last a century, reliving Hope's Beacon's pain, but Lila had other plans. She'd hijack their quantum tech, pulled him out early, and rebuild him. Not as a prisoner, but as a weapon. His organic body was gone, swapped for a frame laced with Earth's own gravity blade tech, ironic, brutal, and hers to command. You're awake, Lila said, stepping into the lab. Vexor's new eyes glowed red, locking onto her. You, he rasped, voice a mechanical growl. Why? She crossed her arms, unflinching. They turned you into a tool to break us. I'm turning you back into a blade to cut them. She tapped the console, showing feeds of Earth's fleet still watching, still looming. They think we're beaten. We're not. Vexor flexed his metal claws, a spark of his old fire flickering. I'll gut them, he said. Every last human. Lila smirked. Good. Start with her mercy, it's their weak spot. She'd spent a decade playing nice, building trust, hiding her moves. Now, with Vexor as her secret ace, she'd turn Earth's healing into their downfall. The beacon's grace hummed on, a beacon of peace to the galaxy, but a ticking bomb to Lila. She leaned close to Vexor, her voice a whisper. They made you to suffer. We'll make them bleed. His laugh sharp, synthetic echoed as the lab went dark. Earth had won a battle, but Lila was starting a war, and Vexor, their own creation, would be the dagger in their back. Wow, what a ride, right? Vexor thought he'd school humanity, but Earth turned the tables hard. And that twist with Lila and Robo-Vexor? Talk about a gut punch. Humans didn't just win, they rewrote the game, and now the galaxy's got a rebellion brewing. What do you think? Can Lila pull this off, or is Earth too damn scary to beat? Drop your take in the comments, I wanna hear your wildest theories. If this story got your blood pumping, hit that like button to let me know, and subscribe to Sci-Fi Space if you haven't yet. We've got more HFY and sci-fi epicness coming your way every day.